Welcome today. My name is Bainborough. I'm from Ontario and a certified judge. It's great to see all the participants today in our workshop. The reason that we're here today is to give a little bit more knowledge and exposure to how to judge syrup and how to taste syrup and make us better producers, because we're all firm believers of if someone else makes better syrup, it only helps us. The North American guidelines were put out. A lot of work went into this by IMSI, some judges, North America. These guidelines have been accepted by all the major organizations and associations in North America. The purpose is that if you enter your syrup in a contest, whether it be in Vermont, Wisconsin, New Brunswick, Ontario, New York, they're all going to be judged by the same criteria. So we can eliminate some of the bias that happens in judging contests. Or perceived biases would probably be a better word, because all the judges are independent. The biggest thing that we see today is, as a judge, we never know whose syrup is coming in, and they're not identified to us, which is a great thing, because then we don't have any of our own bias to say what it is. The keeper of the entries into a contest is someone affiliated with whoever is doing the contest, but the judges don't know during the contest, or at least until after, who the actual winner was. When we talk about the guidelines, these have been accepted. There was a lot of work that went into this. This took about 10 years, really, of manipulating and getting a consensus of how to judge syrup throughout North America on a consistent basis. And the biggest outcome of it was there's a scorecard. And the scorecard is similar to this. And we have 4 categories that a syrup would get judged on. 3 of them are really mathematical. They're statistical in the sense that we can all measure density, color, and clarity, and there are points assigned to them. The arbitrary one is flavor. So we have a scorecard, and it's made out of 100 points. It's like writing to a marking scheme. You can only get marks for each category. So the 4 categories are flavor, which gives you 40 points, density 30, color 20, and clarity 10, for a total of 100. We'll talk a little bit about the scorecard as we go through the day. We'll talk about the guidelines. We'll talk about flavors. What we really need is an expectation of why you came today and what you expect to get out of this. So hopefully at the end of this little session here this morning, we're going to ask that, or the facilitator is going to ask those questions, and we'll get a consensus so we can address those as we go on. The way the day will go is we'll go through a little bit of the guidelines. We're going to go how we got to where we are today. We're going to discuss some of the problems that have happened in judging. We're going to talk, and you're going to taste before lunch some off-flavored syrup. There are off-flavored kits out there. University of Vermont is one that we'll be using today. It gives us 3 of the predominant off flavors, which will be metabolic, buddy, and sour. And we want to come back and say, when you taste these, what can you do to correct that? We want to be able to give you an option and how you can take corrective actions so we don't have off flavors in our syrup. We will talk about off flavors. We'll talk about some good flavors, and we will deal with how to identify them. There's a bunch of handouts. There's one here from the University of Vermont, which is the map of maple and off flavors. We also will talk a little later about great flavors, and this was done by Center Acer, which is the maple wheel of flavors. And all of these are good representations of maple. So in the morning, we will go through some of the off flavors. You will taste them. We'll discuss them and pick them up. We will then, if the facilitator has brought any other syrup that has an off flavor, we'll try and identify those, whether it be fermented, burnt, but that'll be up to what has been brought in today. From that, we'll go into some other videos that have been brought online for us today on good flavors, how to identify them, and we will then go take a lunch, which will clean our palate, and we'll taste some very good syrups in the afternoon. And hopefully everyone has brought a sample of syrup today, and we're going to break you all into groups, smaller groups, independent from the person that you may have come with, because we want you to experience and discuss other people's flavors. Everyone hopefully came here today thinking that they make the best syrup. The issues that we have, and I hope that that is the case, because we want proud sugar makers. The problem that we run into is if we only taste our own syrup, we only know that that's the good syrup. We have to go out and taste other people's syrups. So one of the takeaways today will be, you're going to taste some other people's syrups. We're going to have some good discussion at the end, and you are going to judge some samples, and you're going to fill out the scorecard on the 4 categories as we go, and we will bring from each group a best in their group syrup forward, and it will be discussed by a team leader at the table. From that, we will take the 4 or 5 tables that we have, and we will then judge best in show and why. And you'll be surprised at the quality of good syrup out there and how hard it is sometimes to judge, because you may end up with 4 great syrups, but one of them is going to have to win. And what's going to be the determining factors? Scorecard will help. Flavor will be a consensus. So that's where we're going to try to get through today. I hope it'll be of benefit for all of us. Please have great discussion with inside your group and whoever your facilitator is today. Let's make great syrup.